Hey, it's Karri Flatla here for this week's Friday Fire at Remax Real Estate Lethbridge and Karri Flatla and Associates. It is time for market update. It is April 15th, Good Friday 2022, and the market remains super hot. So I thought I would just give you the quick statistics for Lethbridge real estate so you can get a pulse for what's going on and will this buying frenzy continue? So there's a few key trends that I want to explain to you after we talk about the numbers that I think buyers and sellers really need to keep in mind right now as we head into the height of spring buying frenzy. So I pulled the numbers for end of March. So these are year-to-date numbers for the end of March 2022, Lethbridge residential real estate. So we have a really nice solid picture now for quarter 1, heading into the remaining part of spring-summer buying season. As of the end of March, it showed 1.9 months inventory. Our average sale price compared to last year, year-to-date for Q1 has gone up 8%. That is a big number for Lethbridge. I believe we saw a similar number year over year from 2020 into 2021, and now we're seeing that trend continue into 2022. So homeowners are seeing, finally, after over a decade of price stagnation, I mean, some years we were barely tracking inflation, homeowners are finally seeing a little bit of market value increase, which is really good news. Buyers, don't panic. We're just catching up after many, many years of stagnation on home values in Lethbridge. We're just kind of catching up. I don't think it's going to get so crazy with price increase that we'll see those numbers fall off a cliff at some point. I hear people saying that. I don't see that for Lethbridge. And you can watch past market updates to understand why I'm saying that. But overall, Lethbridge is just a super stable market. But we'll talk about what's happening in the market in a minute for home buyers. The other thing to keep in mind is that inventory is tightening a little bit. So as of the end of March, you know, it says 1.89 months of inventory, but it is now April 15th. I pulled those numbers today and we are seeing a little bit of tightening up, which makes sense, right? Because really the buying season, the height of purchasing activity is kind of March, April, May, sometimes right into summer, okay? So as of today, we have 1.6 months inventory, and when you just pull detached properties, we have 1.4 months of inventory, okay? So let's talk about some of the trends and what you need to keep in mind whether you're buying or selling. Interest rates are going up. I think everybody's in agreement now, and that trend is going to continue. So the Bank of Canada just raised the rate by 50 basis points this past week, and all the economists are on the same page that this will continue because there's lots of things going on, and I'm not an economist, but we have to curb inflation. We're at a 30-year high in Canada for the inflation rate right now. I think it's, last time I looked, 5.7 or something like that. So lots of complex factors in the Canadian economy, in the global economy, instability, just lots of things going on there. So cost of living is getting high. Interest rates are going to keep going up. If you are in the market to purchase or you are thinking of selling, the message is, I don't know what you're waiting for. And I know I say this all the time, but there's nothing to wait for. The important group here, I think, are the people who have a higher end home, which in Lethbridge would be really anything over $400,000. If you have been seeing no market increase for a number of years on the value of your home, this last year or two is really working in your favor, and you should see some nice market value increase on those higher end properties. Now is the time to sell. Again, interest rates are going to keep going up. That is going to knock some buyers out of the market. The other thing for these higher end homeowners is that we are seeing an influx like I've never seen in my 10 years in real estate of out of province buyers coming into southern Alberta, Lethbridge in particular. So it's like all of a sudden people have figured out, oh, there's this like small city called Lethbridge, 2 hours south of Calgary, and there's a $250,000 spread between buying a house in Calgary and buying a house in Lethbridge. And Calgary was already desirable for BC and Ontario homeowners relocating here because it's Alberta all over is so much cheaper to buy a house. But Lethbridge, you know, our average house price is $340 and change, $340, $345. I think last year it was about $320. That's the average. I think average up in Calgary is at least a couple $100,000 higher than that. So you can move to a city of 100,000 people that has, you know, full service, post-secondary, college and renowned university. We have a diversified economy. We're not super dependent on one particular commodity like oil and gas, and our employment rate is relatively healthy compared to the rest of the province. So, you know, people are discovering Lethbridge and there is a bit of a stampede going on. Now, how does that affect house prices? It's driving up house prices, at least some of that 8% increase, but it's also changing the way people have to buy homes in Lethbridge. So just to give you an idea of how somebody thinks, when they're coming to Lethbridge from BC or the Greater Toronto area in Ontario, they've sold their $1.2 million house that they bought for $500,000. Okay, so they're taking their money off the table. They're coming to southern Alberta, and when they walk into a house in Riverstone, West Lethbridge, or wherever, and it's listed for $550,000 and they love it, do you think that they're gonna dicker over 10 grand one way or the other, or even 20 grand one way or the other? No, it's a rounding error in the market they come from. So they'll look at their realtor and say, what do we have to do to get this property? Not, how do we get a screaming deal on this property, which used to be the mentality and is still the mentality of a lot of home buyers in Lethbridge. The mentality now is, how much do I have to go over asking, or what do I have to put in the offer to just lock this down before I go back home and pack up my stuff so I can move out here? It's just a completely different mentality. So if you're a local trying to buy a home in Lethbridge, please keep that in mind. If you think you're gonna grind the homeowner over $500 repair on an otherwise fantastic 10 out of 10 home, you're not getting that house. You're just not getting the house. So it's really time to adjust our thinking and think big picture. You're looking for a home over the long term. This isn't about beating up a homeowner to try and like knock $1,000 off on the price or something like that. I mean, that's how we used to roll all the time here for years and years. It's not like that anymore. And you better be like one of the first 3 buyers into that house, because by that night, if it's a good property, there's already offers on the table and you are competing. And again, if you're in competing offers, list price might not cut it. Depends if that homeowner was overpriced to begin with. But you better come in strong. So the market is favoring sellers right now. Now, that being said, the dynamic and the distribution across the different price points, it's changed a little bit. So we're seeing those out of province buyers start to purchase more of the 400,000 plus properties. So those are getting easier to sell now. If you have a 450 or a 550 or sometimes even a 600, there's more buyers now for those properties than there was even 3 or 4 years ago. However, you still have to be smart if you're coming onto the market with a relatively high priced home, because it's still a very small part of the market in Lethbridge. If you have a 650, you are still way far down at the end of the curve, okay? But now is the time to sell that type of high-end home, because we have more buyers and there's more competition among buyers to lock down a house like that. You still want it to show well. Don't leave money on the table. The house should be staged, clean, in good repair. All those things will still get you more money. I still don't understand why someone would show their house cluttered and frankly dirty, because you're throwing money away, even in a hot market. So all those things still apply. But now's the time to sell your house. If you've been thinking about it for a number of years, but the market just wasn't in your favor, talk to your realtor about that. Those are kind of the big trends. So high-end homes, easier to sell. The market's hot. There's a shortage of inventory. The good ones are selling super fast and getting multiples and sometimes backup offers more commonly now. Interest rates are probably going to keep going up. Talk to your mortgage broker if you are currently in a mortgage and you're not sure how that's going to affect you going forward. You know, if you need to change some things, or if you're thinking of buying, please go get pre-approved. Make sure you're ready to go. In this market, we're still going to ask you, is your buyer pre-approved? If I've got 5 buyers at the table on a great property, I want the buyer who's a sure thing, right? So go talk to a mortgage broker. They're your best friend right now. And out of province money is coming into Alberta. The Alberta economy is taking off. This is the land of opportunity again. And so people want to be here because real estate's cheap and the economy is taking off like a rocket. People want to come to Alberta, and Lethbridge is no longer the hidden gem of southern Alberta. Why would you live in a big city when you can live in Lethbridge and it takes maximum 15-20 minutes to get from one side of the city to the other, and you have every possible amenity and lifestyle option and luxury that you could ask for? So that's what's going on in the spring real estate market in Lethbridge, Alberta. If you have any questions or you're wondering how to strategize your purchase or sale going into this crazy market, please get in touch, 3827335, or look me up at karriflatla.com. I would also strongly recommend you watch Last Friday Fire Real Estate Fight Club. It is one of the most popular Friday Fire episodes I've done in a long time, and maybe it'll give you a little bit of a laugh too. So in the meantime, happy Easter, have a wonderful long weekend, and we'll see you for next Friday Fire. Take care.